And guess, let's start the session. Let me go and open the PowerApps. Let me go and open what? PowerApps. So in the yesterday's class, we started discussing about creating our first app. We started discussing about creating our first app. So what is that app we started creating? A/B trainings. We started creating an app for A/B trainings itself. Now, to see the app, whatever you create in yesterday's class, go to which tab? Go to the tab called apps. When I go to the tab called apps, here you can see all the different types of apps you created, guys. So in yesterday's class, we started creating an app with the name what? A/B trainings 8 p.m. This is the name. So just go and open this app. Go and click on what? Edit. When I click on edit, it will go and open that app now. Let it open. Let me go and open the app. And let me discuss at a high level what we understand in yesterday's class. Fine. So this is the app we created with two different screens. So now when I go and play in the screen one, whenever I go and click on this get started, it will go to which screen? Go to the screen two. And in the screen two, in yesterday's class, we discussed about how to go and make a phone call. We discussed about when the users click on the phone icon, how to make a phone call to the support team. And also when the user go and click on the WhatsApp icon, uh, how to allow the users to chat through the support team through WhatsApp. When I click on this Instagram, how to go and open the Instagram account of AB Trainings. And also when I go and click on the Facebook, how to open the official Facebook account of AB Trainings. We discussed in yesterday's class. So up to here we discussed. So now in today's class, what we'll go and discuss, guys? In today's class, we'll go and discuss about. So here, there is an option here called new student inquiry form. So now whenever I go and click on this new student inquiry form, new student inquiry, it need to go and open one form like structure where I will go and enter the student details. Whenever the new student is inquired for any course, I need to go and click on this new student inquiry to enter that student details. So once I click on this new student inquiry, it need to go and open one form like structure, guys. In that form, I want what are the different fields I want to keep? I want to go and keep the fields like student name. Next, I want to keep here the student email. Next, I need to go and keep here another one more field that is student mobile number. And next, I want to keep here the course for which course the student is inquired and what's the education background of the student. Or let me keep here inquiry date. Let me keep here inquiry date on which date the student is inquired and what's the education background of the student. So like this, I want to go and create one form. So here in this form, now let me go and keep here the fields. So I want to go and keep some fields here. Student name. Next, let me go and keep here the student email ID. Next, student mobile number. Course. Next one is what? Inquiry date. Next, education. I want to create this form like structure now. So once after creating this form like structure, now we'll go and enter the data into this form. We'll go and enter the data. Let's say we are going to enter the student name. We'll enter the student email ID, student mobile number, course, on which date the student is inquired, and what's the education background of student. Once after entering all the details of the student in the form, now I need to go and submit this data to the data sources. Whatever the student's data I'm entering here, I need to go and submit the data to what? Data sources. In order to go and submit the data to the data sources, I need to go and keep one button here called what? Submit button. When I go and click on the submit button, whatever the data I'm entering in this form, I want to submit that data to what? Data sources. So what is the data source we are discussing here in our classes? One of the data source we are taking what? SharePoint, guys. I want to submit the data to the data source. What's the data source I'm taking here? SharePoint. So in the SharePoint, where I want to store the data, I want to store the data in the form of a list. So this is what my requirement is. So what is the agenda for today's class? What is the agenda for today's class is, whenever I go and click on this new student inquiry, it need to go and open one form like structure. It need to go and open one form like structure where we'll go and enter the student details. So once after entering the student details here, when I click on the submit button, it need to submit the data to the data sources. Once after what is the data source I'm taking here? SharePoint. In the SharePoint, where I want to store the data, the list. So this is what the agenda is. In today's class, we'll go and discuss about how to go and create a form-like structure, and then whatever once after creating the form-like structure, how to enter the data, how to submit the data into the SharePoint list. We'll be discussing now in today's class. Fine. So in order to go and get this type of requirement, first of all, let me go and open one notepad and let me give at a high level, we'll try to understand what is meant by forms case. In high level, first we'll try to understand what's meant by forms, and then we'll go and discuss how to go and create the forms in PowerApps. Now try to understand in general, what is the use of forms? What is the use of forms? So I think most of you people see the forms in general. So in general, what is the use of the forms? Forms are used to collect. Forms are used to collect or gather the information, or the data from the users or the customers. So what is the use of forms means? In general, forms are used for what? Forms are used to collect or gather the information or the data from the users or the customers. So whenever if you want to collect some information, or whenever if you want to gather some information or the data, we need to go and create what? Forms. So this is what is the general meaning. What's the general definition of forms case? But now, what the forms can do in the PowerApps? What is meant by forms in PowerApps case? Now try to understand what the forms can do in PowerApps is, as we know that forms are used to insert the new data. Forms are used to, or let me keep here, enter the data. Forms are used to enter the data. Come on. Forms are used to display the data, and forms are used to edit the data that is stored in the data sources. So what is the use of these forms in PowerApps means, or what the forms can do in PowerApps is, forms are used to enter the data. If you want to enter the new data into the forms, you can enter the data. Forms are used to display the data, and also forms are used to what? Edit the data stored in the data sources. So whenever if you want to go and enter the data in the data sources, you need to go and create the forms. And next, whatever the data is there in the data sources, if you want to display the data in the PowerApps, you need to go and again use the forms. Once of displaying the data, forms are also used to what? Edit the data. Editing means modifying the data, guys. Update. Forms are also used to what? Update the data. So this is what the forms can do in PowerApps. So what we understand, what the forms can do? Forms are used to enter the data. Forms are used to display the data. Forms are used to edit the data that is stored in the data sources. So this is what the forms can do in PowerApps, guys. And the next point we need to understand what the forms will contain. So, okay, we know that forms are used to collect the information or the data from the users or the customers. Next point, we understand what the forms can do in PowerApps. Forms will enter the data into the data sources, and then forms are used to display the data in the PowerApps. Forms are used to edit the data. Next, what the forms can do. Not what the forms can do. Next point, what the forms will contain. So forms will contain the fields case. What the forms will contain? Forms will contain the fields, or we'll call it as data cards. What the forms will contain? Forms will contain the fields or the data cards. Now, what's meant by fields? Let's take there is one form, guys. So let's take there is one form. In that form, I'm having one of the fields, student name. Next, I'm having the student email. Next, mobile number. So these are called as fields, guys. Student name is one field. Email is one field. Mobile number is one field. So there is one form So in that form, student name is one field, email is one field, mobile is one field. In general, we'll call it as fields. But in the PowerApps terminology, fields are called as what? Data cards. So student name is one data card, email is one data card, mobile is one data card. So in general, what the forms will contain? Fields. But in the PowerApps terminology, fields are called as what? Data cards. So this is what's meant by forms, guys. Now, let me go to the PowerApps. Let me go to what? PowerApps. And let me go and show you how to go and get one form-like structure and how to go and enter the data and how to submit that data to the data sources. Let me go to the PowerApps now. And then, so if you want to go and open the form, whenever I go and click on this new student inquiry, so first of all, we need to design that form now. So in order to go and create the form, let me go and add one new screen. Let me go and add what? One new screen. So let me go and add one blank screen. Let me rename this screen to form screen. For now, let me go and rename it to what? Form screen. Fine. So now in the, here also, I want to change the background color of the screen to red. Let me go and change the background color to red. And then I want to keep some header here, guys. I want to keep the header as what? New student inquiry form. Let me keep the header as new student inquiry form. As we know that to keep the header, go and use what? Text label. I'm adding one text label, keep it in semi-bold, increase the font size to 30, align it to center. And then let me go and enter the text. What's the text? New student inquiry form. New student inquiry form. So now let me go and change the font color. Let me change the font color to white. So let me play and check it how it's look like. So this is what it's looking. Let me go and increase the font size to 35. Or let me keep it as 32. Fine. This is how it's look like. And also next to my requirement, I want to go and keep some border for this. Let me keep the border. Select the text label. This text label will have one property called what? Border property. Go to the border property. By default, the border thickness is 0. Let me keep the border thickness to 5. Border thickness to what? 5. And now see it is adding some border, but the border color is dark blue. I want to change the border color to white now. Let me go and change the border color from here, guys. Go and change the border color to what? White. Let me go and change the border color to white. So now I'm adding one header here. Next, I want to go and design the form. I want to go and create one form here. Now, before going to create the form, first of all, we need to go and create a list in the SharePoint, guys. So what is that list I'm going to create now in the SharePoint? So the list I'm going to create in the SharePoint is students list. What is the list I'm creating here? I'm going to create a list called what? Students list. So in that list, what the different fields, columns I want to keep? Student name, email, student mobile number, inquiry date, and next one is course, for which course the student is inquired. And next one is what? Education background. So these are the different fields I want to keep in that SharePoint list. So now let me go and create this SharePoint list, guys. So already we know that how to go and create a SharePoint list. So already I'm creating one list here. So let me go and open the SharePoint list now. Let me go and open the SharePoint first. Let me go to this app launcher. Go to the app launcher on the top, and then go and open what? SharePoint. Just like the SharePoint. When I select the SharePoint, it will go and open the SharePoint now. So now in order to go and work with the forms, I'm creating one separate site, guys. There is one site called forms. In order to go and understand in detail about the forms, I'm creating one separate site. Let me go to the site called forms. Let me select the site. And in this site, already there is one list. The list name is what? Students. We know that how to go and create a list, guys. So this is the list I'm having. In this list, there is some data. Let me go and remove that data now. So this is what the list. Student name, email, mobile, course, and education. So I want to add another column here, guys. What that column I want to add here is inquiry date. Let me go and add one new column. Next, click on the next button. Let me keep the column name as what? Inquiry date. And then let me select the data type as date and time. Include only time, not include only time. friendly. Let me turn, or let me go with this default. Today's day, select the data. Let me keep it as usual. Go to the more options. Enforcing unique values column. Click on save. Click on save. It is adding one new column called what? Inquiry date. I want to keep this column after the course. After the course. So these are the different columns I'm having, guys. So you try to create the same list. Already you know that how to create the list. So this is what the list schema. Let me show you the list schema. When I go to the list settings, here you can see that list schema. So student name, email. Email is mandatory field, guys. So email is mandatory. It is a required field. Next, mobile number, course, education, inquiry date. So these are the different fields we'll have. So you people try to create the same list. You people try to go and create what? The same list. Now, once after creating the list in the SharePoint, now my requirement, I want to go and enter the data into the SharePoint list. So I want to enter the data into the SharePoint list from where? From PowerApps. So from PowerApps, I want to go and enter the data into the SharePoint list. So now once the list is created, now let me go to the PowerApps, guys. In the PowerApps, I want to go and create one form now. So to create the form, so first let me go to what? Insert tab. Go to which tab? Insert tab. Under the insert tab, there is an option here. There is a control called what? EditForm. So you don't want to write any code, guys. Just go and take the control. What? Which control? EditForm control. When I select this control, it will add that form to the screen. It will add the form control to the screen. Now just go and increase the height of this form. Let me increase the height. Let me keep this height. And now one point you need to understand, whenever if you go and add one form to the screen, so now it is telling that what? Whenever if you add the form to the screen, it is telling that what? This form is not connected to any data yet. Connect to the data source. So whatever the form you added here, you need to connect this form to the data source. So what is the data source you want to connect now? What is the data source we need to connect? SharePoint. In the SharePoint, what is the site we need to connect? First of all, we need to pass the site address. And then what's the list we need to connect? Students. So now how to connect to the data sources from PowerApps? Go to PowerApps. If you want to connect to the data sources, go to which tab? Data tab. Go to the data tab and then go and click on what? Add data. When I click on add data, now it will show us the different types of data sources. Go and search for what? SharePoint. Go and search for what? SharePoint. When I search for the SharePoint, you can see what? SharePoint here. When I select the SharePoint, it will allow us to connect to the SharePoint now. Let me select this. And then here you need to pass the site address, guys. Here you need to pass what? Site address. So by default, it will show us the site name here. It will show us the site name. This is the site we need to connect. Sorry, this is not the site. Forms is the site, right? This is the site we need to connect. So by default, it will show us. If you are not able to see the site address here, how to take the site address? Go to the SharePoint, go to the URL here, and then copy the URL up to the site name. To copy up to the site name. What's the site name? Forms is my site name. Copy the URL up to the site name. Just copy it. And then go to the PowerApps, copy and paste that URL here. And then click on what? Connect. When I click on connect, now it will connect to that, guys. Set requirement permission. Close.
While copying that S didn't copy it from the site URL.
Let me check. SharePoint. Yes, is there? Yes. So let me pass here. Yes. Click on connect. And when I click on connect, now see, it will show us the list that is available in the SharePoint in this site. So what's that list? Students is the list I want to connect. This is the list name. So let me go to the list, guys. Let me select the list. This is the list I want to connect. Just click on this list now. And then click on what? Connect. When I click on connect, now it is going to connect to what? SharePoint. So what is that list I'm connecting? Students list. First, we need to connect to the SharePoint list. We need to connect to the data source. Once after connecting to the data sources, now go to the tree view, select the form, select what? Form. Now connect this form to the data source, guys. So select the form and then go to the properties. There is a property called what? Data source property. Here, when I go and click on this drop down, you can see the data source now. What's the data source? Students, students list, SharePoint students list. This is the one way. Another way is select the form here. Here also you can see the option called data. When I click on the data here also you can see it, guys. So this is the new feature they are added. So don't recommend it, not recommend to go here. Go with the properties, go with the properties pane, guys. Go to the data source and select the data source as what? Students. When I select the data source as students list in the SharePoint, by default, what the PowerApps is doing here, whenever if you connect to the data source, by default, whatever the fields is there in the SharePoint list, fields is nothing but columns. Whatever the columns is there in the SharePoint list, by taking those columns as a reference, PowerApps itself is creating one form-like structure, guys. PowerApps itself is creating one form-like structure. So this is the form it is creating. So now I'm creating this form means no, we are not creating this form, guys. PowerApps itself is creating this form-like structure. Now there is one default column is added, content type. Let me remove this column. How to remove this column? Select the form. This form will have one property called what? Fields. Go to the fields property. Here you can see the different fields, guys. What's that field I want to remove? Content type. Go to the more options, click on remove. When I click on remove, then automatically it will remove it from here, guys. Fine. I'm adding one form now. So now I want to do some formattings here. What the formattings I need to do? I want to go and change the font size, font color for this title and also the place where we'll enter the values. So select the student name, keep it in the semi-bold, increase the font size to what? 28. Or let me increase the font size to 26. And then let me go and change the font color to white. Next, select the same, select the fields, keep it in semi-bold, font size to 26. Next, email. Do the same for the remaining all the controls, guys. Just I'm doing some formattings here. White. Keep it in semi-bold, font size to 26. Let me do the same formattings.
Do we have format printer option? Rather,
No, here is not available. No.
Okay.
There is no option called copy format painter. So maybe we'll expect soon. If Microsoft is providing this option, it is well and good. Right now, it is not available.
And for BA we have.
Let me do the same formatting. It is increasing the size. There is no other alternate way. We need to do it manually. Let me do it. Fine. Let me select the form now. Just to move the form to somewhat the top. Increase the height. Fine. So this is the form I'm creating here, guys. Just select the form again. Select the form. Let me select this title. Move the title somewhat to top. Just I want to occupy some space here. Select the form. Fine. Let me keep it like this. And then let me go and reduce the width also. I want to reduce some width just to keep the border for this form. Let me reduce the width in both the sides. Let me go and keep the border thickness to 5. Let me change the border color to white. Fine. So now this is what the form I'm creating is. It's fine. Okay, once the form is created, I'm creating one form. And once the form is created, I want to submit the data to the data sources. In order to go and submit the data to the data sources, I need to go and keep one button here called what? Submit button. Let me go and add one button here called submit button, guys. Let me go and insert one button control. Let me add one button. Please drag and drop it here and just reduce the size. Keep it here. Let me change the button text to what? Submit. I want to change the button text to what? submit, increase the font size to 30. And also, let me do some formattings. I want to do some formattings here. Let me go and change the fill color to red. Let me go on, I think it is font color red, background color to white. Okay, let me keep it like this. And also now, when I hover the mouse, it is change the background color. Guys, I don't want to change the background color. Already we discussed about how to do this type of formattings. Just go here, hover fill color. It is dark blue. Let me change it to what? Color dot white. Color dot white. And next, when I hover the mouse, the font color is changing to white. If you see when I hover the mouse, font color is changing to white. Now I don't want to change the font color also. Let me select the button, go to the hover color, font color is white. Let me change it to what? Color dot red. And next when I press, the fill color is changing to red. I don't want to change the fill color. Let me go and keep here what? Color dot white itself. And next when I press, font color is changing to white. It's fine. Now when I go and hover the mouse, background color is changing to red. Hover the mouse, background color is changing to red, but it is white here. It is too much. When I hover the mouse, now see, now the font color is changing. Hover the mouse, font color, I want to keep it as red. Okay, let me go and save and then play. Now see, it looks like a button. Fine, I'm adding one button here called submit button, guys. So now let me copy the same button, paste it, copy and then paste. And let me go and keep this button to reset. This button is for what? Reset. So I'm adding the two buttons here. One is submit and second is what? Reset button. Just zoom it, reduce some size. Fine. Okay, so these are the two buttons I'm adding. Now when I save it and then play, this is how it's look like. Now my requirement, I want to go to the submit button. On select of the submit button, whatever the data we are going to enter into the form, I want to submit that data to what? Data sources. If you want to submit the data to the data sources, go to the on select property, select the button, select the button. This button will have one property called what? On select property. On select of this button, what need to happen? I want to submit the form. If you want to submit the form to the data sources, there is one function called what? Submit form function. On select of the button, I want to submit the form. To submit the form, there is one function called submit form function. Now, which form you want to submit? Form 1. So what is the name of this form is? The name of the form is form 1. So just when I go and click on the submit button, use the function called what? Submit form. So whatever the data I'm having in this form, this data will be submitted to what? Data sources. Fine. Next, there is another button called what? Reset. When I click on this reset button, it need to reset the form. So let me go to the onset property of this button. Go to the onset property of this button. On select of this button, what I need to do? I want to reset the form. I want to reset what? Form. Which form I want to reset? Form 1. So if you when I click on the submit button to submit, it need to submit the data. When I click on the reset button, it need to go and reset the data in this form. Fine. Okay. Now when I save it and then play, now see, I'm not able to see this form here. When I save it and then play to test the form, to test these buttons are working or not, now I'm not able to see the form here. Now why we are not able to see the form means, so now try to understand, whenever if you add one form to the screen, whenever if you are adding a form to the screen, now what type of form you are adding here is, you are adding the edit form. Yes. That means by default, whenever if you add one form, this, what is the mode of this form is, this form will have a property called mode property. So the default mode of the form is edit mode. What is the default mode? Edit mode. So this form, you can use it in the 3 ways case. We can use the same form in 3 ways. One is you can use the form as a new form. You can go and use the same form as a edit form. And you can use the same form as what? View form. You can use the form in 3 ways. Now, by default, whenever if you add one form, what's the default mode? Edit mode. But my requirement here, I want to enter the data in the form. Whenever if you want to enter the data in the form, we need to make the form mode as what? New. I want to make the form as a new form because I want to enter the new data. Whenever if you want to enter the new data into the form, make sure the form mode has to be new mode case. When to make the form mode as edit, when to go and make the form mode as view, you'll understand in the coming classes. All this comes under customizations. When I'm discussing in the coming classes, under the form customizations, we'll understand when to make the form mode as edit, when to make the form mode as view. For now, we need to enter the data in the form. To enter the data, we need to make the form mode as what? New form. So let me go and change the form mode to what? New. For now, let me change it here, guys. Change it to new. Now, when I save and then play, now you are able to see the form here. Okay. Now, I'm creating one form-like structure. Now, I'm having one submit button, reset button. Now, try to understand this. Now, go to the screen one. Now, in the screen one, when I click on this get started, it will go to the screen two. And in the screen two, now when I click on this new student inquiry form, it need to go and open that form now. Now see, when I click on it, it is opening the form. No, it is not opening that form. Why? What is the reason? First reason, because it is not opening that form because it is what control? What control it is? When I try to click on this, but when I click on this new
That's a
student
text box.
inquiry, it is just a text label. So I said that text labels are used for what? Just to
So
display
that
some values. Just to display the values. Correct. So you are not able to take any actions. Here, my requirement, I want to perform an action. Whenever I click on this new student inquiry form, I need to go and open that form now, whatever the form I created. So instead of going and adding the text label, go and use what now?
button.
So just remove it. Button control. Just go and remove it. Just remove it. Go and click on delete. And then I want to add the button case. To add the button, so I don't want to waste much time. Go to the form screen. Let me take the same button, copy the same button. So I want to do the formattings to save the time. I'm just copying and pasting the same button here, submit button. Just drag and drop it here. Just drag and drop. Increase the width. Increase the height and width. And now let me change the text to what? New student. Inquiry form. New student inquiry form. Fine. Now let me go and increase the font size to, let me keep it as 30 itself. Let me keep it as 30. Fine. Now try to understand. Now it is a button row. When I go and see, when I go and hold the mouse, there is a hand raise. Hand raise means it's like a button. So now what's my requirement? Whenever I go and click on this button, I need to go to which screen? Form screen. That is screen 3. Now if you see here, whenever I go and click on this button, I want to go to which screen? Form screen. So select the button. On select the button, go to the property called what? On select the button. What's my requirement? I want to go and navigate to which screen? Screen 2. So navigate to which screen? Go and use the navigate function. Navigate to which screen? Form screen. Go and pass the screen name. What's that screen name? Form screen. Navigate to the form screen. So now, whenever I go and click on this button, it is going to navigate to which screen? Screen 2 to form screen. Now, before going to navigate to the form screen, before going to navigate to which screen? Form screen. What's my requirement? Before going to navigate, in the form screen, in this screen, there is one form, right? I want to reset that form. Before going to navigate, first reset the form. First reset the form. And then once after resetting the form, I want to make that form as a new form because I want to enter the new data. To enter the new data, as we know that, we need to make the form mode as what? New. So how to make the form mode as new? So there is one function called what? New form. So now which form you want to make it as a new form? Form 1. Just pass it. So whenever I go and click on this button, what the actions it will take? First, it will reset the form. If the form contains any data, it will reset the form. Next, it is going to make the form as what? New form. And then navigate to the form screen. Why I'm making the form as a new form means because I want to enter the data. To enter the new data, we need to make the form mode as new. So now save it and then play. When I go and click on this new student inquiry, now if you observe, it is going to the form screen or not? Yes, it is going to the form screen. Now in the form screen, now we are able to enter the data. Let me enter the data. Let's say I'm going to enter the student name as Warner. Let me enter the student email ID. warner123@gmail.com. Let me enter a mobile number and let me enter the course. Let me take the, now see, course is a choice column, guys. I'm not able to see the courses here. So now this is the known error from the Microsoft. Now, if you are not able to see the drop down values, so how to overcome this problem? By default, when I click on this drop down, you are not able to see the values. This is a known error from the Microsoft. How to overcome this problem? Select the drop down, go to the advanced property, go and click on unlock the changes, and then go to the property called items property. In the items property, go and remove the @ symbol and also the square bracket. Go and remove @ and square bracket. Now save it and then play. Now when I go and click on the drop down, you can see the courses. PowerApps, PowerBin, SQL. Let's take the course name is what? PowerApps. Student education is BTech. And inquiry date. Let me keep the inquiry date. On which date I'm inquiring? Let's take today's date. Click on OK. Now I'm entering some data. Now whatever the data I'm entering here, I want to submit the data what? Data source. So whatever the data I'm entering here, I want to submit this data to what? Data sources. What's my data source? SharePoint. Now if you want to submit this data to the data sources, go and click on what? Submit. When I click on submit, let me check it is submitting the data or not. Now see, when I go and click on the submit button, yes, the record is submitted, guys. If the record is submitted, you are not able to see the form here. Now, if you go to the data source, when I go and click on refresh, now see, the record is created. So now when I click on submit button, it is submitting the data to the data sources. Now, once after submitting the data, whenever I click on the submit button, it will submit the data to the data sources. Once after submitting the data, I want to navigate the users to the success screen. I want to display some success message that the form is submitted successfully. So how to display that message? So to display that message, again, go and use another one more screen. Let me go and add another one more new screen. Add the screen. Let me rename it to what? Success screen. Let me keep the screen name as what? Success screen. And then let me go and change the color. Let me go and change the fill color of the screen to red. And then to display the message, let me go to the insert tab, go and add one text label, and then keep this text label here. Keep the text label here. Increase the, go and keep it in semi-bold. Increase the font size to 35. And then align it to center. Let me go and change the font color to white. Let me change the text to what? Let me keep the text as the form has been submitted successfully. Let me keep the text as what? The form is submitted successfully. Form is submitted successfully. This is the message I want to show, or success message I want to display. The form is submitted successfully. So I want to navigate the user to the screen, success screen, guys. So if you want to navigate the user to the success screen, once the record is submitted, go to the submit button. Go to the submit button. On select the submit button, first submit the form. Once after submitting the form, then I want to navigate the user to which screen? Success screen. Go and use which function? Navigate. Navigate to which screen? Success screen. Now see, now when I go to the first screen, when I play, when I click on get started, to go to the screen 2. In the screen 2, when I click on this new student inquiry form, go and open that form. The form is in which mode? New mode, where you can enter the data. Let me enter the details, guys. Let's take, I'm going to enter the name as Smith, email ID, next mobile number, course, let's take Power BI, education background as BTech. Next inquiry date, let's take today's date. Click on what? Submit. When I click on submit, now it is submitting the data and then it is navigating the user to which screen? Success screen. It is telling that what? The form is submitted successfully. If you go to the source, when I click on refresh, now see the record is submitted. Smith student details is submitted to the data sources successfully. Fine. So now we created one form. And we are entering the data in the form. When I click on submit button, submit the data. Now try to understand. There is another one more button called what? Reset. Let's take what is the functionality of this reset button, guys. Suppose think that I'm entering some data. I'm entering some data here. Now my requirement, once after entering some data, let's take, I want to remove the data in this form. I want to reset that form, guys. I want to remove the data in this form now. So now if you want to remove the data in the form, one way you can go and do it manually. So I don't want to do it manually, guys. I don't want to go with manually now. So just go and click on what reset. When I click on reset, what it will do? It will reset that form. Whatever the data we're entering in that form, it will clear that data in that form so that you can enter the new data. So this is what, how to go and create a form and how to enter the data into the form and how to submit the data. Once after submitting the data, how to navigate the user to which screen? Success screen. And next, the next point we need to understand here, I said that what the forms will contains. Next point we need to understand what the forms contains. Fields, or we'll call it as what? Data codes. What the form contains? Fields or the data codes. Now see, if you observe here, student name is one field, or we'll call it as data codes, guys. In PowerApps terminology, we'll call it as data code. Student name is one data code or field. Email is one data code. These are called as data codes. Mobile number is one data code. Course is one data. These are all the data codes. Now, if you want to, I'll show you here. Go to the form screen. When I go on here, this is the form I'm having. Now, if you see, this form contains what? Data codes. So this is the form. Now, when I go and expand the form, you can see these are all the data codes. Student name is one data code. Student name data code, email data code, mobile data code, course, education, inquiry data. So now what the form will contains? As I said that the form will contains the data codes. Let's take the student name data code, guys. When I select the data code here, student name, automatically it will select the same here also. Automatically select the same data code here also. It is selecting here, fine. Now, okay, we understand forms will contain data codes. Next point we need to understand here, what the data code will contains. Forms will contains what? Form contains the data codes. These are all the data codes. Now, what the data code will contains? Let's take student name. When I go and expand this student name data code, now see, each and every data code will contains what? 4 different controls. So student name data code will contains what? One is star visible. Second one is error message, data code value, data code key. All these are called as controls. These are called as what? Controls, guys. All these are the controls. So each and every data code, if you see, when I go to the email data code also contains 4 different controls. Same. Mobile data code also contains the same controls. Same 4 different controls. So each and every data code will contains what? Will contains the 4 different controls. Each and every data code will contains what? 4 different controls. Now, what is this controls, guys? What is the use of these controls? Let me explain this now. So let me list out here each and every data code. Each data code will contains 4 different controls. Each and every data code will contains what? 4 different controls. What are those 4 different controls? Let me keep here 4 controls. Each and every data code will contains the, or let me keep here 4 different controls. Now, what are those 4 different controls? The first one is what? Star visible. Second one is what? Error message. Third one is what? What are those? Data code value and data code key. Data code value. The fourth one is what? Data code key. These are the 4 different controls that each and every data code contains. Now, what are those controls here? First, what is the functionality of this star visible? What is the functionality of this star visible? What's this error message? What's this data code value, data code key? Now, first point, these are also the controls, guys. Star visible, it is a control. What control it is? It is text label. It's a text label. Error message, it is also a text label. Data code value, it is the text input control. It is a text input control. And next one is data code key. It is also a text label. All these, this is what text label, another text label, another text label. This is the text input control. These are also the controls. Just they are changing the names. They are giving the different names. Now, what is the use of this star visible means? Star visible, it is used to identify the field is mandatory or not. What is the use of the star visible? It is used to identify whether the field is mandatory or not. So now if you observe in the data source, there is one field is mandatory, guys. If you observe in the SharePoint itself, there is one field is mandatory, email. Email field is mandatory in the data source. So if the field is mandatory in the data source, automatically that field is mandatory in the form here. If you observe, email field is mandatory. So you can see here star visible. Let me select this. Now see, when I go to the email, when I select the star visible here, now it is selecting the same here also. When I select the star visible, it is selecting the same. It is identify whether the field is mandatory or not. Now email field is mandatory by default. Why? Because it is mandatory in the source. Let me change, keep it in the semi-bold, increase the font size to 35. And then keep it in the color to white. Now you will understand a better way. Let me keep it as 30. You'll understand a better way. So now email field is mandatory in the source, so it is mandatory in the form also. But now, what's my requirement here? This mobile number field is not mandatory in the data source. Mobile number is not mandatory. But I want to make this field as mandatory in the form. So how to make the field as mandatory? Select the first, you can identify whether it is mandatory or not. If you see, when I go to the mobile, when I select the star visible, it is not mandatory. It is not showing that it is not mandatory. If you want to make this field as mandatory, select the mobile data code. And then this mobile data code will have one property called required property. Mobile data code will select the mobile data code. This will have one property required. Go to the required property. So it is false. I want to make it as true. Now see, when I want to make it as true, it is not allowing us. It is telling that cannot edit. So you are not able to do any changes in the properties. If you want to do any changes in the properties, by default, whatever the data codes will have in the form, you are not able to do any changes in the data codes. You are not able to change any property. If you want to do any changes in the properties of the data codes, first select the data code, and then go to the advanced property. Here you need to go and unlock the properties, guys. Unlock to change the properties. Go and unlock the properties. And then go to the required properties. Select the mobile data code. Go to the property called required. By default is false. That is, it's not required. I want to make it as true. Now see, when I make it as true, automatically you are able to see the star visible now. Let me select this, keep it in semi-bold, increase the font size to 30, change the color to white. Now it looks better. Now, mobile number field is not mandatory in the data source. It is not mandatory in that source, but I'm making it as mandatory. So what is this star visible means? Star visible, it is used to identify whether the field is mandatory or not. If the field is not mandatory, if you want to make it as mandatory, select this field or the data code, go to the property called required, make it as true. Automatically that field is required in the form. This is what the functionality of star visible. And next one is error message. What is the use of this error message is, it is used to display error messages, or it is used to display the error message. Whenever if you want to display any error messages, we can go and use it, guys. When I go here, if you see, let's say, when I go and select this error message here, go to the mobile number, select the error message, and it is selecting what? It is selecting this field. This is the place where we can display the error messages. Now, by default, if you observe here, when I save and then play, when I click on submit, it is submitting the data by default, but I am not entering any data there, but it's navigating the user to the success screen. When I go to the form screen again, it is showing some errors here. If you observe, it is showing some errors. What's that error? Email field is required. What is the error? It is mobile number field is required. Mobile is required. So now when I go to the email, in the email, when I go and select the error message, when I select the error message, it is also selecting what? The place. This is the place where we can display the error message. It is a text label, guys. It's a text label. So error message control, it is a text label. Error message is used for what? To display the error message of the data code. And next, the next one is what? Data code value. What is this data code value? It is used to enter the data into the fields. It is used to enter the data into the field. So let's take, there is one field, student name. In the student name, I want to go to what? Data code value. When I select the data code value, not email, let me go to the student name. Go to the student name, go and select what? Data code value. When I select the data code value, it is selecting what? The place where we will enter the values. It is a text input control, guys. Same as here. It is a text input control, same control. So this is the place. Data code value is nothing but what? This is the place where we'll enter the values into the field. So that's what I'm keeping. It is used to enter the data into the fields. Next, data code key. What is this data code key? What is meant by data code key now? Data code key, it is used to display the title of the data code. It is used to display the title of the data code. So let's take here, when I go and select this data code key, now what is selecting? Title. So this is one data code. Student name is one data code. So for this data code, what's the title? S name. So when I select this S name, it is what? Data code key. Data code key is nothing but the title of the data code or a field. Title of the data code. So each and every control will each and every data code will contains what? 4 different controls. One is what? Star visible. Second is what? Error message. Third one is what? Data code value and data code key. So star visible is for what? It is used to identify whether the field is mandatory or not. And next, error message. It is used to display the error message of fields. Next one is data code value. It is used to enter the data into the fields. Data code key. It is used to display the title of the file. So this is what the data code contains, guys. Each and what the forms will contains? Data codes. Each and every form will contains what? 4 different controls. Star visible, error message, data code key, data code. These are the 4 different controls we'll have. Fine. So we understand how to create a form, and then we understand how to submit the data, and also we understand what are the different types of form modes we'll have. There are 3 different types of form modes: new, edit, and view. And also we understand what the data code will contains. Forms will contains data codes. Each and every data code will contains 4 different controls. And next point we understand here, this form will have the properties, guys. Form will have what? Few properties. Let me go and discuss those properties now. So the first property is what? Data source. Already we understand. Data source property. If you want to connect this form to the data source, select the data source here. And next one is fields. Next property is what? Fields. We understand about the fields. So go to the fields. Whatever the fields you are able to see here, same you can see here. If you want to reorder the fields, you can just drag and drop from here, guys. Let's take inquiry date is in the last position. I want to keep the inquiry date in the after the course. Let me just drag and drop. When I drag and drop, now see, automatically here also it is changing. It is not changing. It is course is in the after the course. Inquiry date is where? After the course. The last field is what? Education. Like this, if you want to go on the reorder the fields or data codes, we can go and use the fields tab. And the next one is what? The next one is snap to columns. By default, the snap to columns is turned on. What is this snap to columns, guys? If you observe, when I hover the mouse, it is showing what? What it is showing? When the snap to columns is turned on, cards means what? Data cards. Cards are equally divided into the number of columns you set. When turned off, the width can be customized. So that means, so now see, when I select the form, it is turned on. And number of columns, I'm showing the form in how many columns? Only 1 column. Now the form is in 1 column. But now see, when I keep the, when I go on keep the column in the 2 columns. Now see, this is occupying the equal spacing is. It is now the form is in the 2 columns. It is occupying the equals width. Each and every data column will occupy the equal width. When I keep it in the 3 columns, now also it will occupy each and every data column will occupy the same width. So when it will occupy the same width, when it is turned on, let's say when I turn off this, when turn off it, now when I go and change it to number of columns to 2, now see, it is not changing the position space. Now that it is in the 2 columns only. But when I turn on this, now it is taking the form in the 2. So this is what the functionality of the snap to columns. Snap to columns, when it is turned on, how many columns you want to go and show in the form? You want to create a form with how many columns? 1 column, 2 column, 3 column. Let's say if you are creating a form with 3 columns, and these 3 columns data cards need to occupy the same width, means go and turn on this. So what the functionality of snap to columns. And next, layout property. So there are 2 types of layouts is there. Now the form is in which layout? Vertical layout. Vertical means one after the another. Let me change it to horizontal. When I click on the drop down, let me change the layout to horizontal. When I change it to horizontal, now it looks like this. This is what the horizontal layout. This is what the vertical layout. Let me go to the vertical. Under default mode, as I said that there are different modes we'll have. By default, what is the form mode? Edit. So we understand how right now we are making the form as new, because to enter the new data, when to make the form mode as edit, when to make the form mode as view, we will be discussing in the coming classes under the customization steps. We need to do some customizations there. You'll understand it. And next, the next point, the next property is what? Visible property. Visible means if you want to show or hide or unhide this form, you can use this. Visible by default is turned on. When I turn off, you are not able to see the form. You are not able to see what? Form. When I turn on it, you are able to see the form here. So this is what the functionality of the visible property. And next one is what? Next property, X property, Y property with the height. Well-known properties for you. What's the X position? What's the Y position you want to keep? You can keep. And next, color property, fill color. Form fill color. If you want to keep the form fill color, you can use it. By default, it is not. I'm not adding any color. It is color as null. I think if you want to keep any color for the forms, you can keep. I'm not going to keep any color. And next, border. We discussed about the border property. I'm keeping some border. Focus, acceptance focus. What is this feature? I'm not sure. It is the new feature added. Whether the field can receive keyboard focus or not. Maybe this is the new feature. No, I'm not sure what exactly this feature will have. What happens this property? Just ignore, guys. I think absent focus means receive keyboard focus means what? Not sure. Just ignore it. For now, just ignore it. So these are the different properties we'll have for the form. So whatever the properties I discussed, these are the basic properties. There are some advanced properties is there. When I go to the advanced properties, here you can see on failure, on reset, on success, and also there is something called default data source we discussed. And then what are the remaining? Okay, these are the properties we'll have. Few more properties we'll discuss: on failure, reset, on success. What is this? When to go and use these properties, we'll understand the coming classes, guys. We need to have some valid scenarios to understand them. So in the coming classes, we'll understand what is this on failure, on success, and then on reset. So we'll discuss in the coming classes. So these are the different properties of the form we'll have. Fine. So now in today's class, we understand what? We understand how to go and create one form-like structure, how to enter the data into the form, and how to submit the data to the data sources. It is throwing an error. An entry is occurred. An entry is required. Please correct it. Submit form and then navigate the form to the new screen. There is no any error. Fine, save it and then play. So you can enter the data, you can click on submit and you can reset it. Once if you submit the data, it will navigate the user to which screen? Success screen. So this is what we understand now in today's class. And next we need to understand about here. Next along with this, we need to understand the next 2 points regarding the forms is, that is field validations field validations. Next, we need to understand about the form validations. And next, we need to understand about form customizations. And next, we need to understand about form design. So we need to understand all this. So next coming on 4 classes, we'll discuss about the forms only. So now in order to go and understand about the field validations, form customizations, and form design, we need to have the knowledge on the few topics called operators and also the functions. So to understand this field validations, form validations, customizations, we need to have some knowledge on the operators and functions, guys. So before going to start discussing about the validations and the customizations, in the next class, we'll discuss about operators, and then we'll discuss about the functions. Once of discussing about the operators and the functions, then we will go and discuss about this field validations, form validations, customizations, and design. Why? Because to understand these concepts, we need to have the knowledge on this. So I'll discuss these 2 points in the next 2 classes, and then we'll go and discuss about this validations. Fine. We'll stop here today. We'll be discussing from the next class tomorrow. Now let's go with the questions. Let me stop the recording.